Okay, I think we're about ready to shoot. Where's Mr. Cruz? I'm here. Let's go. Okay, Tom, so I'm going to need you to jump off the train, land on the truck, flip over the top, smash through the windscreen, then drive off the cliff, punch through the top, and paraglide to safety. No problem. What comes next? Well, after that, you land and have an emotional scene with the love interest, but don't worry about that. That's when we're bringing the stunt team. Wait a second. If it's an emotional scene, then why are you bringing in the stunt team? Look, if you're going to steal their job, they're going to steal yours.
Ethan, I love you.
All right, love, calm it down. Anyone got any paracetamol?
Welcome back to Movie Punch, where we punch movies so you don't have to. This is a little embarrassing. I usually have an intro prepared, but my producer, Wendy's gone AWOL. So, oh, hold on. What's this? Good morning, Mr. CJ. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to rank the Mission Impossible movies from worst to best, for the purposes of fun and/or filling time. If you should fail in your mission and make everyone on the internet angry, I will pretend I don't know you. Typical. Good luck. This note will self-destruct in 5 seconds. She can't do anything right. Whatever. We've got movies to rank. Let's punch it. I really don't trust that thing. Anyway, in at number 8 is Mission Impossible 2. I think when you hear John Woo doing a Mission Impossible movie, you have high expectations, but unlike Face Off, where it feels like he can go full out, here he feels restrained, like he's trying to make a movie that doesn't match his style. Then all you're left with is a movie that's not particularly bad, but not particularly memorable either. There's fun to be had here, but it just pales in comparison to the rest of the series. If you want a great John Woo movie, go watch Hard Boiled. Worth bringing up though that the theme tune was done by Limp Bizkit. Remember that? What a terrible time for music. Next up, it's Final Reckoning, a massive disappointment to finish up the series. While, like Mission Impossible 2, it's not a bad movie, and there's plenty of scenes to really enjoy, it just doesn't hold up to the rest of the series. The main issue is how serious it takes itself. The premise of these movies is inherently ridiculous. When you lean into that, it's fine, but Final Reckoning is just too somber. Scenes that would have been full of quirky character banter are instead filled with boring dialogue about how serious everything is, and how they have a moral obligation to blah blah blah. Both the submarine and prop plane sequences are great, but even then they drag a little long, and you don't get the sense of fun and adventure like you do with similar stunts in the other movies, because the stakes are so high. A review I read also pointed out that one of the characters in this movie could be removed entirely, and it would have no impact on the plot. I'd tell you which one, but you've probably already forgotten them anyway. Okay, so I know that there are some people out there that still think the original is the best in the series, but those are the sorts of people that take life a little slower, make sound financial decisions. Me? I'm a schlock man. This movie is great, but it just doesn't have any of the crazy stunts and action that I love so much in the later movies. Also, I think that it has some baggage due to the fact that it's an adaptation of a TV show, and modern audiences won't get any of the references. I've heard that the big twist in the movie was a bigger deal to those who had seen the show, but without that context, it feels like the movie is missing something. I will say in its defense that the high sequence is superb, tenser than any scene in any of the later movies, but overall, I feel like this movie is just showing its age a little bit. And if my hairline is any indicator, I'm an expert at things showing their age. This is where it gets really difficult for me, because for these next 4, I think if you asked me on different days, I might give you a different answer. But for today, I've gone with Rogue Nation. I'm certain I'll get some stick for this, because some people adore this movie, and to be fair, it does have a lot to love. The first thing being the introduction of Ilsa Faust. Rebecca Ferguson is an absolute boss, and she brings so much to this movie, and I love every scene she's in, especially the opera sequence. It felt like it took them a while to realise that what we love in these movies is the team aspect and the mission, and quite often the female additions to these movies just sort of get in the way of that, whereas Ilsa is driving the plot and making things interesting. I also adore the opening with Cruise on the side of the plane. It's one of those great stunts that just seems incredible that they even attempted it, but while it looks great in a trailer, the stunt works as part of the wider scene in the movie. Unlike the plane scene, I feel like the underwater sequence is a little lacking. I know Cruise did something crazy like train to hold his breath for 6 minutes so they could film it, but because it's a movie and there are cuts, you just don't have that same kind of tension that you do with other stunts where he's jumping out of a plane or holding onto the side of a building. And if it doesn't feel like Tom Cruise is in mortal peril, what's the point? I really love Mission Impossible 3, and it kind of sucks that I have to rank it middle of the pack here, but it just doesn't have that same sense of wonder that you get in the later movies with some of the stunts. I still ranked it higher than Rogue Nation though, because I think overall it's a more satisfying movie with probably the best script of the whole series. I remember seeing this movie on release with very little expectations and being pleasantly surprised at just how good it was. I think this movie is the best in the series at making you care about the characters and the stakes. There's multiple scenes where things happen that you didn't think would, and it gives this sense of, oh, nobody's safe. That's also anchored around the incredible performance by Philip Seymour Hoffman as the villain, who is just terrifying and completely hateable. The ups and downs of the story, mixed with the connection you feel to the characters, and the frenetic direction from J.J. Abrams, all just combines into this great ride. As fun as it is, though, it just doesn't have that scale, and did that just move? Won't be able to relax until this thing explodes. There's a weird sentence. Anyway, let's move on. Is it Dead Reckoning Part 1? Just Dead Reckoning? I don't know, but I do know this movie is fantastic. After Fallout, I figured they couldn't top it, and I was right. But honestly, it seems a little bit unfair to compare this movie to Fallout, considering that it's still one of the strongest in the series. However, the story is definitely weaker here, and while the AI villain is topical, it feels a bit silly. Which is possibly an insane critique for a Mission Impossible movie, but I stand by it. That said, there's so much to love here. I think Hayley Atwell is an absolute brilliant addition to the cast, and she has great chemistry with Cruise, so a lot of the sequences that might get lost in the backdrop of the big stunts are actually a highlight, brilliantly blending character beats with action. But man, when those big stunts come, they don't disappoint. I think it may have been a bit of a misfire in the marketing by showing so much of the bike stunt before the movie came out, but without the issue of repetition, it's an incredible moment. The whole train sequence is also excellent, and the ending as they jump from one falling carriage to the next absolutely gives the heist scene from the first movie a test in terms of tension. While it doesn't quite live up to the impossible standard set by Fallout, it's still one hell of a ride. It's insane to me that Brad Bird hasn't directed more action movies because Ghost Protocol is so much fun. Maybe he got put in movie jail after Tomorrowland. I went back and forth between this and Dead Reckoning for a bit, but it was that fun that won me over. It's very difficult to balance the seriousness of the plot with the fun that the audience needs to have. Most Marvel movies fall too hard one way, and then a lot of schlocky action movies take themselves too seriously. But this movie is pitched perfectly. The Burj Khalifa sequence is a perfect example of this, balancing plot, character beats, comedy, and razor-wire tension. I think by this point in the series, showcasing a big stunt could have come off as a gimmick, but the sequence is so entertaining that you never once question its necessity, which is exactly what you want in a Mission Impossible movie. Absurd events that you happily go along with. Jeremy Renner and Paula Patton are also great additions to the team, and while Simon Pegg is solid and free, I think he really starts to shine here. I love the dynamic of the team working on a mission, with stakes but having fun doing it, and here it feels like a great ensemble without all of the attention going to Cruise. One of the great things about this series is that for the first 5 movies you get a different director every time. Would it be a shame if one of the directors stayed on to do a second movie? No, because Fallout exists, and aren't we glad that Chris McQuarrie came back for it? It's hard to know where to start here, because I feel like Fallout never misses. Every scene is engaging. It has some of the best stunts of the series, some of the best character work. It's tense, it's involving. I just adore it. Between the bathroom fight, the car chases, the helicopter sequence, the halo jump, the foot chase, and the heist scene, this movie is hands down the best action of the series. But it's also one of the best action movies ever made. Unique sequences, well shot, paced and edited, which also constantly move the plot forward or reveal character. Rebecca Ferguson and Sean Harris both return and are even better than they were in Rogue Nation, and then are also joined by an excellent Vanessa Kirby and star of the show, Henry Cavill. I know some people don't rate Cavill, but for me he sits in a pool of actors like Keanu Reeves. Not the biggest range, but put him in the right role and he's brilliant. I tried to think of some negatives to mention, but honestly I couldn't really think of any. I just love this movie. Man, ranking these movies has been tiring. Need to learn how Cavill reloaded his arms. Oh, hey, you're back. Right, you said that note would self-destruct and it hasn't done anything yet. It's given me anxiety the whole episode. What's the deal? Oh, you used disappearing ink. Ah, clever. Okay, well, I can relax now at least. Where should I put this? Just pop out of the way there. So that's my ranking of the Mission Impossible movies. As always, please feel free to leave me a comment telling me how wrong I am, and leave your own ranking. I'm really intrigued to see what other people's lists are like. Although if you haven't put Fallout first, I do question your sanity. Thanks for watching, and what's that burning smell? Probably the backup explosive on the note. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh no, my arse!